So, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be, whether you're watching this live, which is epic, or you're watching the replay, which is also very cool. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce you to this finale that we're having. Yes, the final episode of Celebrating Creativity. So, we're going to have some amazing presenters today who are going to share out how they're celebrating creativity wherever they happen to be. So, yes, without much further ado, I'm going to introduce the first speakers. I'm going to bring them up now. Hold on. So, I have, let's see, Geral, Sheila, and oh, there is a David. Fantastic. So, welcome, welcome. I'm going to take myself off the screen, and you guys can share the screen, and I will bring that up too. Okay,
Thank you.
enjoy.
Thank you, Mel. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in today in order to watch this presentation. My name is Sheila Escobedo, and I'm currently working at Colegio de Creolía Americano in Guatemala. So it's a pleasure for me to be here, and really thankful to Mel for creating this space to celebrate creativity of the students and also my colleagues here today. So Geral, good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm pretty excited to be here
Yeah.
and to share what my students have done. They amaze me with what they have created.
Yeah, so let us tell you, we work together at Colegio de Americano, and Geral is the language arts teacher for ninth grade. So the stage is yours. Tell us.
Thank you. So I'm going to show you what my students have done for this past period. I was very impressed with what they have um, accomplished so far. Because we have here, wait, sorry. I'm new at this. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Alrighty, so let's try again. Alrighty, here. So we have been working historical fiction, and for this period, I came up with an idea of making a historical fiction book fair in which my students had the opportunity to sell their books. They wrote the books like from scratch, and they have so much fun in the process. This is the outcome. They had to like prepare a booth and do all the marketing and everything, and they had so much fun. They had these little lit coins, very, very cute lit coins at the entrance where all our visitors received, and they could exchange that money for the books they liked or the stories they like fell in love with or like were thrilling and they wanted to see what was the end of it. And so here are my students presenting their books. They had a lot of souvenirs and cookies and donuts and all kinds of things where they could like call the attention of the customers so they could sell it. Shayla, you were there, right?
Yeah, and it was amazing how the students were trying to convince me to invest my lead coins. At the entrance, you received 650 lead coins, and then you had to walk around, and the kids should sell their idea. And it was nice to see how they related the French Revolution, most of them, to their historical fiction stories. So once you were convinced, you gave the bitcoins to the kids, and they would give you a QR so you could download the book that they wrote. Okay, so Gerard, what was the tool that they used in order to publish their books?
Yes, let me show you right here. And I was going to say that we, together with the world history teacher, we combined forces this time and we said, let's do something together. So they took the French Revolution that they were studying with her and seeing and all that, and they created the QR code. And this is the tool that they use. They were really amazed on all the sounds and all the elements they could include in their books and all the things they were like really interested on seeing how it came out. We have a couple here If you want them, maybe we can share the link so they can come and take a look at the books if they like to read about um, these books. So also, I'm going to let you know that, well, my students are very creative. And as you can see, they even created this fictional Fast and Furious revolution in which they included all the cars and all the things. Even some of the actors, they were like really into that. And they had a lot of fun during this process. And we have a little present for you if you want it. Because
Sure,
I
I'm
have,
sure the audience
yeah,
would like to have it.
because I have created like I cannot see it here. I don't know why, but I have created a Google slide where you can like download all the how to the reading part, how we investigate about the French Revolution and all the elements of historical fiction, and we the brainstorming, add the historical fiction elements to our own book, and then the publishing part. So it's here for you. If you want it, I'm going to share the link with Sheila, so you can share it with our visitors today.
You can drop the link here in the private chat so we can share. Yeah, you may leave the link here in the private chat so they can share.
Okay,
All
sure,
right.
of course.
Now what we're presenting is the Kronborg Castle. Thank you, Kara. And this is David Lopez. He worked with the senior class this project. So David, can you please tell us about it?
Good afternoon. Well, here it's afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having us here. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. So this was an amazing project. We were trying to figure out how it could be possible for us to have a project and an opportunity for seniors to participate and showcase all their talents and abilities, while at the same time engaging them with becoming acquainted with Shakespeare, a classic like Shakespeare, more specifically Hamlet. So this castle is representative of the idea Shakespeare used in creating Hamlet. And the point of this was, first of all, we embarked on a journey of learning, reading, and becoming familiarized with Shakespeare. And after reading the whole novel, the whole play, to be more accurate, and just to clarify something, at one point students were encouraged to be in charge of 10 pages of the play, and while they were reading it, or reading those pages, to perform them in class. So that allowed them to feel what it's like to read those lines while they were acting. So they loved it. And when we finished, and sorry, by the parallel to that, they were also reading other stories, other classics. They could choose from short stories like The Pearl by Steinbeck, or The Death of Ivan Ilyich by Tolstoy, to more demanding and larger texts like Sense and Sensibility, or Little Women, or Crime and Punishment. So after we finished reading both texts, they had voice and choice, and they were also welcome to suggest other texts. when we finished reading both texts, they were challenged to show how the theme they chose to analyze, both texts, in either acting, art, a co-spaces project in 3D, or any other idea or suggestion they had in which they could showcase what they learned. So in this period, we had an amazing group of 10 people who accepted the challenge to rehearse and then perform their own version of Hamlet. So they needed to edit so that it could be played in 40 minutes. They chose the most representative scenes and they performed them. So that was the instructions and rubric and everything there could be found in this website under the ballroom tab. And we also had the gallery room for the photography pictures, the courtyard, and the chapel. The chapel was for the TED Talk. They could work at TED Talk presentation. And Sheila, I don't know if you want to share what was it like to see them acting there in front of a group of seniors and also 10th graders.
Yeah, this group of people, they made the adaptation of the play in order to use a modern English language, and then they act it out. At school, we still have working on the theater, but at least we have this innovation center that can become a little bit space for acting out. So it was nice to see how the students began from scratch, writing their own dialogues, and then look at these actors just going through the scenes, and they really transmitted that feeling about the story, that feeling of revenge when Hamlet knows about all the things that his uncle was doing for when his father died. So that was transmitted during the episodes that they showed to us. Here is the students acting, some of the scenes that we could share with you today. So all of this came up from this project. So David, can you tell us, because this is only one of the ways that the students use in order to demonstrate their understanding, right? They could also do, okay, that was the acting part, but they also could do a virtual tour through the castle. For this, they use CoSpaces in order to show, and also they were able to present a TED Talk, right?
So for the live presentation, we also, we encourage them to do it in front of their peers. But they also had the option to just record it and use a slides presentation and pictures to enhance the experience. So it was amazing. At the end, I could see a drastic difference between my previous approach, reading and studying it in class, to this one, which was half of the play was acted out by them in class. And they even had to read the plot carefully and see if there was any unknown word, because if their peers could find a word they didn't know the meaning of, they would lose points and give those points to their peers. So they were very engaged, and at the end of the play, they even clapped. They were very, very happy and excited.
There was this student that even learned a little bit of Russian, right, in order to present. So let me see if I can share this tab. Mel, can you help us? Yes. So over here is what he did. He used CoSpaces in order to show his finding about crime and punishment. Everything was created by the student. Mhm. The dialogue. Yes, Jessica, students really enjoyed it. And when we discussed with them what was the most important thing was that they really could use their own talents and they were able to choose.
And if I may, we have to remember that this is not our first language. So it was a whole challenge for them to be like, fluent in telling their ideas and being honest and feeling actually like the dialogue itself. So congrats, I really love it.
Now, Geral and David, can you tell us about the planning part? How long did you invest in order to make this planning and also the resources?
Yeah, it took me a couple of weeks to put together like the whole project itself. Little by little, I was adding some new ideas and some new things. In my project, the reading part was divided into book clubs. They decided what book they were going to study in order to learn historical fiction. We had the book thief, we had the help, we have other options. So they decided what book they were going to read, and then week by week they had to do a worksheet, focus on one of the elements of historical fiction so they could see it in action and they could apply it once they had the chance to write their own stories. That took me 6 weeks for them to finish reading the whole book, making annotations, adding some tips and some tricks that they were going to use. I love that. And but then the writing part was a little bit, I ran out of time, so I had like 3 weeks for them to do the book, the brainstorming part, the writing part, the drafting and the proofreading and everything, and even the marketing for them. It was a whole challenge, but yeah, they did it.
David?
So in my part, I think the most challenging thing was, since this had to be done during a 3 month long period, um, the most challenging thing was to be able to plan for um, mini lessons that could allow them to go deeper and understand a theme in a deeper way. So, for instance, one of these groups decided to analyze the nature of evil, both in The Peril by Steinbeck and Hamlet. So it was challenging for them because they needed to understand the different perspectives and understandings, or sorry, perspectives and ways to understand the problematic of the nature of evil. Where does evil originate from? Then they needed to also write an essay um, about it and work with what they understood and analyzed in their final project. So being able to fit all of that into a 3 month long period, sorry, was quite a big challenging. But they did a great job. They did a great job, and as some of you mentioned as well, the fact that I was not an expert in code spaces didn't mean that they would not be able to use that platform as well. So they had total freedom to choose. There was even a group that asked me, teacher, can we use a podcast? Can we do a podcast? I was like, okay, present your rubric, present your plan, and go for it.
Yes, some of the comments here in the chat says that it's important to have a student voice involved in these kind of projects because that makes them really involved in these situations, right? And we would like to give a special thanks to our instructional coach, Betsabe Orenos. I know if you're watching, thank you for supporting our teachers going through this process as well, and helping us also integrating technology into our subjects. So thank you, Ma. I don't know if there are questions in the audience that we see. No?
No, I think everyone is just sharing all their love for what you guys have been sharing. Like, really, just they're really, I guess, inspired by what you guys, created for the students, and for the students to have like an opportunity to really get so creative, right? To really think outside the box and explore so many different opportunities, and just to keep it open, right? They have all these different ideas, and you're not just restricting them to one thing. They have all these different options, so they don't need to think of, oh, I only have this option, I only can do this thing. No, you showed there through your presentation that there's just so many options for the students, which is awesome. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate that.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for having us.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
No problem. We'll see you again sometime soon, but thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure people will find the link. I shared Gerald's link in the chat, so yeah, they will probably get inspired and start commenting on the students' work. So thank you.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Okay, so next up we have a presentation from Donna, and unfortunately she wasn't able to join us live today, but she did pre-record her session, so I'm going to share that now for you. So enjoy. Hopefully you'll be able to actually see what is happening here. But yeah, thank you so much to those that are joining in the live chat too. Thank you to Alex celebrating those that have presented, and to Jessica as well for sharing. So let me open up Donna's presentation. Go. Enjoy, and just add your comments in the chat as this goes along.
Hello, everyone. My name is Donna Schies, and I'm here to talk to you about the art of inspiring creativity. Every month, I write this newsletter called The Collaborator, and the whole gist of The Collaborator is that I collaborate with other teachers in my school district or around the world, and we talk about hot topics. And back in January, it was requested that I do one on creativity. So I went and researched all this information about how you can inspire creativity in your classroom. And this is what I came up with. So I have 10 little ways that you can inspire creativity in the classroom. The first one is to brainstorm. Anytime you brainstorm, you bring in other people's ideas and you build on top of those ideas. And that creates something you never would have thought up had you not brainstormed. So brainstorming is definitely a way to inspire creativity and get those juices flowing and brain pathways thinking in ways they would not have thought of without other people. So this is one little way that you can definitely incorporate more creativity in the classroom. Number 2, brain breaks. Now, this sounds really crazy, but if you step away from a project, you come back with a refreshed brain, and that brain might come up with an idea that is more creative. Sometimes you just got to say, whoa, I got to take a break from this. And when you come back, you find gold. So that's kind of the way it is. Your brain actually does get burnt out with thinking about the same thing for a long time. And it kind of runs out of new ideas. And if you step away and start doing something else that makes your brain think in a different direction, when you come back, you have a different perspective as you look at that same problem. You can handle it in a different way, a more creative way than you would have initially. So incorporating brain breaks in your classroom is helpful if you want to inspire more creativity, especially when people are feeling like they can't think of anything else. So look for that. That is really a easy way to get more creativity going. The third way you can inspire more creativity in your classroom is by journaling. And when I say journaling, I'm not talking about flat paper, just writing. I am talking about interactive notebooks. I'm talking about graphic organizers, things that pop. Give the students glue and crayons and markers. Have them draw parts of it, sketchnoting. All of that is way more creative than just an outline or copying off the board, because copying off the board really doesn't require much creativity at all. The fourth way that you can inspire more creativity is by collaborating. By collaborating with others, or even having your students collaborate with others on a project, you're going to get something that is way more creative, than what they would have come up with on their own. It's a step higher than brainstorming, because when you're brainstorming, you're just generating the ideas. When you're actually collaborating, you are making something. So whatever the project is, all the brains come together and they create something that they would not have created alone. So it is always more creative when you can get people working together. Number 5 is to provide challenges and riddles and fun little things, even jokes. Any of those things that are not so concrete in thought, anything that's going to require an out-of-the-box thought process to get to an answer or solution is going to be creative, and it's going to generate a more creative mind. So if you are doing riddles, if you are doing breakout EDU, I use that all the time. And that requires problem-solving skills in a creative way, an out-of-the-box thinker. So any of those kinds of things is really good for having your students, expand their minds and think in divergent ways. So go ahead and check out Breakout EDU if you have not. It's pretty fabulous. Number 6, build things. Anything you can build is going to be creative. In this situation, I collaborated with Terry Adams. She shared on Twitter, she's a friend I follow, and she shared this snowplow where they had to design a snowplow and they had to basically remove the snow. So it's adorable, but the kids were building, and there's a purpose to that. And anytime they're building things, they have to use a creative mindset. So anytime you want to do this, there's also a website called Instructables, which I think is fantastic. Everything on there is basically creative. So if you want an idea of where you can get things to help you build things with your students, Instructables, it's amazing. Okay, I wanted to jump over to this side because I want you to see what I wrote there, and that was part of the newsletter. And it said, basically, I was following Andrew Minigan, and he wrote in Education Week about the importance of curiosity and questioning. And basically, he talks about how when you have students and you teach them how to question, you're actually building their curiosity. So number 7, teach students how to question. Teach them questioning skills. Get them making their own questions, and get them curious about the world and how it works. I use Wonderopolis a lot to get some curious brains thinking about different things. So, and that's a wonderful resource for you if you want to build some curiosity. But those questioning skills are going to come in handy later in life for lots and lots of things. So number 8 is passion projects. People are more creative about things they really care about. So any type of passion project that you can get your students working on is going to lead to something more creative than they would have done had they not cared about it. So you know when they care about a project, you know you're going to get an amazing result. Most people don't realize how important the editing process is to creativity. I can't tell you how many times I wrote something, I reread it, it didn't sound right. I went back, I changed it, I reread it, it didn't sound right. I went back, I rewrote it until I got the right words. And that's the thing about creativity in the editing process, is that you get the best when you allow people to edit. Now, editing is not just writing anymore. It is in video production. I will tell you, I've done this video several times. It's probably not going to be right. It's not going to be perfect, but I have done the editing process, and hopefully it comes out a little bit more creative than me just talking at you. But this is number 9, the editing process. And when you give kids a chance to edit, you're going to get something way more creative than had you just said, do it. Number 10, use technology. Technology allows kids to do things that they could never do without it. It's a whole new world we're getting into with AI and the way it's going to inspire more creative projects. I'm super excited about this. I think we are on the cusp of something really magical that's going to happen in education and learning and creativity, especially because of the way technology is moving, at the pace it's moving, and with what it can do to inspire others, and how it allows everybody to work together, and how it allows people to create something and interact with content. It's just an amazing time. You have to embrace the technology that we have. You can't just ignore it. The kids are going to be living in a world way more advanced technology-wise than what we are currently living in now. So their future is definitely going to be filled with technology that we can only imagine about.
Okay, so that was Donna's presentation. I'm sure you have so many ideas here, and I can see them popping up from Kecia about questioning, about Trevor McKenzie and Connie Hamilton for questioning instructions and practice, from Jessica about technology supporting the first 9 ways to support creativity. So I'm going to share the Canva that she has with you in a moment. So I'm just going to, because she couldn't finish the entire part in her presentation, and I'll drop the link in the chat. So basically, she created this Canva that maybe will load if my internet is not too sad. Yes, it will load eventually. I'm going to drop it in the chat here for you guys to access yourselves so you can enjoy. Let me drop it. Okay. So we can see here she shared these 10 ways, but she didn't really get to talk about these collaborations with various authors and educators. So she had, I'm just going to quickly scroll through these because you can see this in your own time too. She had Yuritsa here about inspiring creativity in the classroom, about Kristen Haas and Dr. Carmen Shahadi, about inspiring creativity in the classroom, about Stacey Roshan, and Jared and Kristen Merrill. And then she has a feedback survey at the end there. So there's a lot of amazing resources here, and I'm going to drop this into the chat for your reference. And thank you for everyone for sharing in the chat there. Thanks, Alex, about the AI Canva Magic presentation option, and about Sheila about opening up the space so they can become creators. But yes, enjoy the Canva. It's there as a link for you. So I'm going to stop sharing there, but feel free to share, contact or connect with Donna. Okay, I did share her Twitter handle in the chat if you like. So now for our final presenter, who's Kecia, who's coming all the way to us from Hawaii. Hello there.
Hi there, how are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you very much. So I'm very excited.
All right.
So
let's start by presenting.
Sure.
Okay.
I will bring it up when it pops up, and then I'll disappear. Okay, I see it popping up there.
Okay, great.
Well, enjoy. Have fun.
Thank you. So, hi everybody. I have the t-shirt, but when Mel contacted me to present, I just thought, why me? I'm not very creative. And so my thought process of this was just kind of exploring creativity, celebrating creativity, honoring creativity. So it's almost like an ode to creativity. And I wanted to create a space for people like me who still have a lot of self-doubt and don't think of themselves necessarily as very creative. So today's almost like a philosophical argument for creativity. So that's me. I do live here in Hawaii. I am a resource teacher, so I work with 19 schools. I focus mostly on EL students and celebrating them and their families and promoting multiculturalism and multilingualism in our communities. I am connected to a whole bunch of creators. So I thought about showcasing all the amazing people in Hawaii, but there's so many. So I really encourage you to look, if you're on Twitter, we have our hashtag 808educate, and there are so many amazing creators and educators out there doing much more wonderful things than me. So that is my plug for them. So when Mel kind of just tapped into me and said, we're celebrating creativity, I had to kind of do a little bit of an inventory. What is creativity? So, I Googled it like the rest of us might. And the first thing I saw was the one that comes to mind for me. imagination, originality, but especially in the production of artistic work. I'm not an artist. I can't draw stick figures to save my life. My writing is incredibly messy and horrible. I can't sketch note or do those things. So let's say that. I haven't done it yet. So when I hear the word creativity, for me, it's often almost like a barrier. It's a challenge. I'm thinking, I'm not that person. So then I kind of dug a little deeper. It's a phenomenon where something new and valuable is formed. And I thought, okay, well, I bake cookies. I create something new. Maybe I don't know if that's new and valuable. To me, it is. So, I could be a creator too. And then I got to this last definition about the tendency to create, generate, recognize ideas, alternatives, possibilities, and solving problems, communicating with others, and entertaining ourselves or others. And I thought, okay, I can align a little bit more with that definition. Sometimes I solve problems, and sometimes I communicate. So, maybe I can think of myself as being creative. So then I thought, we often get into this idea of, there's the 5 C's and the 5 E's, and a lot of people like frameworks. So I started thinking about creativity for myself. Now that I've looked at some definitions, how am I processing my sense of creativity? And I decided if you're going to be creative, it takes courage, it takes being connected, and it takes being critical. It's also critical to everyone that we all become and embrace and celebrate our creativity and our creative sides. So it is a challenge. And so again, if you're like me, I'm here today to address that challenge. So Henri Matisse, he said, one of the most creative people we know, he did say it takes courage. And so I was inspired by somebody that we know as being so celebrated, so accomplished, and so achieved as a creator, saying that it really does take a lot of courage. I quoted I found inspiration from a few other very famous artistic creatives, right? We often talk about teaching, for example, as, building the airplane when you're flying it. So I loved Kurt Vonnegut's reference to jumping off cliffs and building our wings as we're on the way down. We often are put in systems and structures. And if you're like me, you're a rule follower. I'm a rule follower. And so sometimes that's also a challenge to my own creativity. So I did like Pablo Picasso saying, let's look at the rules. Yes, let's see the systems that exist. And then let's see what is not there, whose voice is not represented, whose story is not being told. And so we can seek to embrace creativity on that. And then the biggest point for me, as Sylvia Plath said, the worst enemy to creativity is self-doubt. And I know the education profession is full of people who have imposter syndrome. And so again, I don't like to lurk there. I don't like to live there, but I do feel like it does need addressing, because I feel like there are so many amazing, incredible people that I admire, look up to, aspire to be like, and I know they are still full of self-doubt. And sometimes that does create a barrier to being creative and to sharing that creativity. So I'm going to try to show a video. Mel and I practiced this earlier. And so if I saw this video at some point, and it really just changed my life. And so if you haven't heard of it, I am going to show it quickly. And I hope that it moves you as much as it moves me.
Any creator of anything knows this feeling. You experience someone else's innovative work. It's beautiful, brilliant, breathtaking. You're stunned. Their ideas are unexpected and surprising, but perfect. You think, I never would have thought about that. How do they even come up with that? It's genius. Afterwards, you think, my ideas are so obvious. I'll never be as inventive as that. I get this feeling often. Amazing books, music, movies, or even amazing conversations. I'm in awe at how the creator thinks like that. I'm humbled. But I continue to do my work. I tell my little tales. I share my point of view. Nothing spectacular, just my ordinary thoughts. So one day someone emailed me and said, I never would have thought about that. How did you even come up with that? It's genius. Of course, I disagreed, and I explained why it was nothing special. But afterwards, I realized something surprisingly profound. Everybody's ideas seem obvious to them. I'll bet even John Coltrane or Richard Feynman felt that everything they were playing or saying was pretty obvious. So maybe what's obvious to me is amazing to someone else. Hit songwriters in interviews often admit that their most successful hit song was one they just thought was stupid and not even worth recording. We're clearly a bad judge of our own creations. We should just put it out and let the world decide. Are you holding back something that seems too obvious to share?
So again, I often, if I'm teaching, whether it's teaching students or teaching adults, I often will show that. I saw that in a class I took once, and it really, I feel like it just kind of freed me and empowered me to kind of get over my self-doubt and to kind of help me create some courage to just go ahead and put it out there. You know, you're responsible for what's on your end. You can't maybe think about how others are going to judge your creativity. That I can guarantee it will strike a chord with somebody and you will reach somebody. So I just want to encourage everyone. Oh, good. I wanted to encourage everyone. And again, I love sharing it. It's a great resource, whether I'm teaching a course on leadership or mental health, or, you know, there's so many forms and places where I think people do need a little bit of encouragement. And then, of course, I had to refer to our favorite Brene, you know, about it. It's hard. It's hard to be vulnerable. It is really, really hard, but that is where we have to start when we want to talk about creativity. And again, creativity, I believe, is that agent of innovation and change. And we all talk about the better world we want to create. So I just encourage you to get over yourself, to try to get some courage, try to get brave. And, you know, we can all connect in this space and beyond if we need a rooting section or a cheerleader section to get over our own doubts. Okay, so that was courage. Now we're going to talk about connection. So again, I'm not an artist. I'm not very good at drawing or painting or any of those things I traditionally thought of as being creative. But I'm going to argue today that creativity is connection. And I know that when we start connecting things, the world makes sense. And so I encourage us all to think about how we're making connections in creative ways, because that is how we're ordering our world. And also, you know, the world of our students. So again, why is connection important? First of all, I'm very motivated by where I live. If you've never seen this view of the world, so I do live in Hawaii, and it is literally a rock in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. We are very isolated here. It's very easy to feel like you're on your own, you know, like you're not reaching others, that what you do maybe doesn't matter. And so for me, connection is incredibly important. I'm very motivated by connection. I think it's very important. Also, connectivity to your land and your people, right? We have to become very self-sufficient here. We have a very unique environment, and I can look around to where I am to get inspiration for creativity, even on times when I'm doubting my own creativity and don't feel it. So I did pull, again, you can see I'm a fan of quotes, but when we use creativity and we start introducing issues, sometimes we're scared to talk about things, but like our friends from Guatemala this morning, you know, you talk about them in a creative way, you incorporate that student choice, that student voice, and we can bring the world together through creativity, through creating those pathways for our students and by embracing those pathways ourselves. So again, connection. So connected to the land. I talked about being connected to your land, connected to each other, connected to fellow colleagues. Thank you, Mel. You're amazing for creating this space for us all to come together. As Jessica's saying in the chat, Twitter is an amazing place for connection. So we have those connective points, and also creativity comes to the fore when we're talking about connecting ideas. You know, that's where we find our progress and growth. That's where we find innovation and change. And so does creative mean new? I struggle with that. I think, do I have to be responsible for creating something new in the world? Like, that's a big responsibility. And sometimes that scares me. And so I found inspiration from Martha Graham. You know, our perspectives are so important. There's only one you. And so even when you might not feel like you're presenting something new, because it comes from you, your perspective, your context, the amalgamation of all of your ideas, it is unique. And you really do need to be able to come together to share it like I am today, even though I was like, why did she want me to share? So I just encourage you, even though you might not think it's very new and innovative and original, the fact that it's coming from you is really important. The other thing I think when we doubt ourselves, am I creating something new? It's really connection. It's connecting things. It's connecting ideas. It's connecting experience. And as Steve Jobs was saying, sometimes you feel guilty. Like in that video I showed too, you think, well, this isn't very original. This is obvious. And sometimes you kind of feel guilty. I'm not creative, right? But you have this unique power to connect things in a different way and to connect your experiences, your perspectives, and to synthesize those things. And so that's why I know when we talk about synthesizing as not being a great creative skill or critical thinking skill, it absolutely can be. And you do need to explore that both in yourself and with your students. And this is a very long quote, and you can have my slide deck and look at it later. But what I love about this is when you're overcome again with this sense, like, I'm not that creative. This isn't new. I'm not very original. You know, almost nothing is truly original in the sense that we didn't pull little bits and pieces and tie together strings from, out there in the universe. It's how you interpret it. It's how you use it. And I love the way he says, don't conceal your thievery and you celebrate it, right? You pull together those things, you pull together those strings, you're weaving this experience and knowledge. Don't hide where you got your ideas from, because it's still, your manifestation of them in the world. And it's not where you found them from, it's where you take them to. So when you find those ideas, you celebrate others, and you use that as your stepping stone in your ladder to creating a different worldview and a different take on things. And that might inspire the next person to take your little bit and add to it and then keep creating. So again, I think sometimes there's this division of like, there's creatives and then there's critical thinkers. And so today I'm going to argue that creativity is critical. So first of all, creativity is critical to our human existence. Without creativity, there wouldn't be progress. And so it's critical to our survival and our enjoyment of being human beings. So first, there's that aspect of being critical. I think it's really critical for us as humans to come together, to be creative, to celebrate it, to share it. It's also critical thinking, I'm going to argue. Again, I've had a very big hang up that I'm not artistic, I'm not creative in that way, but how you experience the world, how you experience ideas can be a form of creativity that I want to celebrate today. So again, I drew inspiration from Mae Jemison. She is known as being, the first African-American woman in space. She is a doctor and engineer. She is a NASA astronaut. She is absolutely a creative. And she's saying, it's not saying it's the arts or the sciences, right? It's a both and. You can embrace the learning, the knowledge that we get from any context, any content, any field of study. So for those who don't want to argue that science isn't, I know Mr. Isaacs is in the room and he won't tell me that math or science is not creative. It absolutely is. But for people who are hung up on this, this idea, this paradigm that creativity only lurks in the halls of the art classroom, this is where I'm going to start, tugging on those ideas. So again, I always doubt my own ability to contribute that context. And so I think of a roadmap that just has no markers on it, right? There's just nothing to go off of when I want to embrace creativity in my colleagues and in my students and in people I work with. Again, it's like standing on the shoulders of giants. But the more markers we have on that map, the better able we are going to be able to spring forward into our own creative selves and to come up with awesome ideas. Of course you do. I know that. So again, I just try to justify. This whole presentation is basically a justification to myself, an argument with myself on what is creativity and how do we create it. So I really encourage everyone to challenge their ideas on creativity, how they're using it, how they're implementing it, and how they're seeing it in the world. So again, for me, it's problem solving. Creativity is absolutely problem solving. And it also is passion, right? You have to love life to be able to contribute to it, to make it better, to add more, to create that little niche, that little sprinkle on the Sunday, right? And it's all worthwhile. And I'm very inspired by people who see a rock pile and image a cathedral, who see a slab of marble and can depict the sculpture inside. And while that's not me, I do celebrate those people, because those are the creators of our world that make this world a more beautiful place. And so I know a lot of the people on this presentation or watching are teachers, and I just want to take a moment to celebrate teachers. Teachers are absolutely creative. I think it's the most creative profession in the world. And it takes a lot. There's always a lot going on. And as somebody said about special education, it's a lot. So, creativity has so many forms. And again, there's thinking, there's overcoming obstacles, there's being adaptive, there's changing, there's being responsive to who's in the room, who's in front of you, and what their needs are. And so I just want to really celebrate teachers, educators, and we really do create worlds. We create worlds for our students. We create conditions for optimal learning. We are creating every day. And so again, for people like me who doubt, I just really want to take a moment and make sure, be explicit, that you understand you are creatives, you are creators, and I want to celebrate everything you do. And so when I started with that definition of creativity, maybe being in the artistic realm, maybe being a matter of being able to think and to adjust. And I found this definition from Psychology Today, which I think is just a lot more holistic, because it includes not just, again, the idea that creativity is new, that creativity is artistic, that creativity is different, but that it's part of our drive as human beings. And it fosters resilience, it sparks joys, and it provides opportunities. And again, I think absolutely that's what teachers do every day. It doesn't have to be grand and inspiring. It doesn't have to be a Picasso. It doesn't have to be a Matisse, right? But we are changing our world. We absolutely, do these amazing things. And so we are all creative in our own way, and hopefully we're fostering creativity in the next generation as well. So that's what I've got. Of course, I want to credit Slides Carnival for beautiful slides and helping me celebrate creativity today. But because somebody else was creative enough to do that, and I use Slides Go, Slides Mania, all those wonderful free products that people share. I'm so appreciative of those artistic creatives who share their work in the world. And so here I am today sharing just ideas, but hopefully it was enough to help push somebody across the line to continue to put more wonderful, beautiful things in the world.
Definitely, Kecia. Thank you so much for sharing. That was a lot of amazing stuff. I shared your slides in the chat so people can go over and then rewatch that video to be like, yes, I do have things that I can share. Because I know like exactly what you're talking about, as in there's a lot of people that they don't think they have anything worth sharing, or they don't think they're creative, even though they're creating every day. But anyway, that was a nice reminder. So I'm going to bring up Sheila. Hello there. So I want to thank you both, obviously, for coming on live today, and those that are in our chat at the moment, saying thanking you all for the inspiration. So I was wondering if you wanted to share. I know, Kecia, obviously you just spoke just then, so I don't know if you still want to share something as a conclusion thing, or I just asked Sheila. Sheila can share something first, and then you can decide if you still want to share something. It's up to you.
Yeah, thank you. No, I love the quotes and the information that Kecia shared with us. I love this quote, and I just shared it with my colleagues about designing and engaging work for students. Sometimes, it's risky to take advantage of everything that is around us, just to plan. That's why I asked the teachers, my colleagues, how was the planning time? Because it's when teachers really take that risk in order to give the students to open up that space. So whenever we are encouraged and and really think about the students, think about the opportunity that they will have in order to show or demonstrate the learning in another way, in a different way. That is when we really think about the application or everything that is there on paper. But when you see the students really performing and doing different things, that's the way it should go. And I read one of the comments that sometimes, teachers do not, maybe we don't know how to use any tool, but that the students are very resourceful and we can learn as well. So that is another way of having that growth mindset in the teachers as well. So thank you, Mel, for this opportunity to be here with you. Thank you.
Welcome. Kecia, I don't know if you want to share.
I was just that was one of the comments that really stood out to me as well. That, and that's where I'm going to say, take the courage, right? That's the courage piece. Sometimes we feel out of our depth as a teacher, like, I don't know how to use that tool, or that's new. And it takes courage to just say, hey, kids, it's on you. Go for it. You might know better than me. And I know sometimes teachers, especially old school teachers who were taught to teach a certain way, it takes courage to hand over the baton, right? And let them lead. And so I loved that question that you asked your teachers. And I love that comment that, we have to get out of the way sometimes and let the kids be the creatives. But again, I'll argue it takes creativity and courage to facilitate that, to plan for that, and to make it happen. So just, again, celebration to those teachers who shared today. I was so inspired by everything you guys did and showing that it can be done even when it's scary and it's hard.
Right. Well, thank you so much again to both of you. I do appreciate, you taking your time on a Saturday. And I mean, it's like lunchtime for you, Sheila. I mean, it's like the morning for you, Kecia. I mean, it's, interesting. But for those that want to contact you, obviously, I mean, we have your Twitter handles in the chat there. For those that want to connect with Donna, who couldn't be here live today, the handles are here too. But before we leave today, I did want to share a quick video of those who have been sharing in the past 9 volumes so that you guys have an idea of, so what actually happened? Were there that many presenters? What did they share? I just have like a minute video to share with you. See if this works. Hopefully it will work actually. Maybe one day. We'll see. My internet is a bit slow, so we will see. So did that just freeze on one person just then? Oh, yes. Okay. So maybe I should try to share. It's like, I know David was very amazing and very impressive, and we should all be proud of David. But there were like 30-something presenters. So we'll see. Oh, yes, there is Olivia there. There is Olivia. So there are some people. Actually, maybe this will potentially work now. Let me go back for a moment. Sorry for that weirdo-ness for you guys. Probably like, what is happening here? Let me reshare. Here we go. This is what happens when you have like very sad, laggy internet, and these things happen. So let me try again. If it doesn't work, I'll just share it in the chat for you guys so you can see later. Let me myself. Okay.
There's another colleague, Betsy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think, yes, I know Betsy was very impressive. So yes, I think, you guys know that, people here were very amazing and how they presented. So I just wanted to appreciate everyone that has presented during this series. Because I mean, I know it's like what Kecia was sharing, you know, some people don't think they have something valuable to share, but I think everyone has learned something during this series and should be proud of, you know, being able to share. I think that is something that, yeah, people need to acknowledge. I know that a lot of people are still too shy and I don't know, awkward, I guess, sometimes of like the whole idea of sharing. But hopefully this series did inspire most of you to maybe share if you're someone that has not really thought about it before, because maybe you do have something that others can definitely find valuable. So unfortunately, because my internet is so laggy and, you know, I mean, we have Kiki right there, which is amazing. Yay. Uh, we will close that, I think. And I mean, hopefully you guys can enjoy, I mean, yourselves. I'm going to stop sharing this video here because my internet has really just died in a hole there. So let me remove that. You guys are probably just like, what, really? This is how it's going to end? Yes, with the epic lagginess of my computer. Yes. Here we go. Here we go.
This is proof that this is life.
Yes, this is live. So I did put slides here if people want to see them for people. This is Ritika, David that we had that was so famous, Livia, Amy, Kiki, Hilly, Trevor, Sheila, yes, there she is again. Josh, Tanya, Lois, Monica, Amanda, Tanya, Kamal, Willie, Pam, Jay, Patri, Rochelle, Rita, Melissa, another Melissa, Heather, Brian, Marilyn, Steph Rothstein, Jenna Lee, Tim, Georgina, Sandra, Mr. G or Carlos, and Jared. Yay! So yes, thank you to you all again, and yeah, appreciate you all, and yep. So yes, so thank you again. Okay, so I hope that you have a great weekend, and if you think there are other people that want to share stuff at some point, let me know, and I can do something. But otherwise, this is the end. So thank you, everyone, and bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.